The Supreme Court has issued an emergency order temporarily allowing the Trump administration to withhold billions of dollars worth of funding for food benefits used by millions of low-income Americans. The White House appealed to the country's highest court after a lower court ruled that the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, also known as a food stamps, should be paid out in full to recipients by Friday. The program has been left in limbo by the ongoing federal government shutdown, with the Trump administration arguing it could only afford to fund it partially. Friday's ruling means $4 billion can be temporarily withheld pending further legal hearings. Well, joining me now is Angela Fobbs to discuss the SNAP cut in the United States. She joins me from Mainz in Germany. Good to have you this weekend, Angela Fobbs. Now, how will the temporary halt in SNAP funding affect the approximately 42 million Americans who rely on the program, and what alternatives are available to them? I know that he's also mentioned that he's going to give $2,000 to every American. That is for those who are high-income earners. I'd like to have your take on, this.
Well, the halt of SNAP creates an immediate hardship and instability. Some families will face reduced or delayed food purchasing power this month. Food banks and pantries have seen a higher demand, and children, the elderly, and disabled are the most at risk. Many household budgets are managed tightly around SNAP, so even 1 month of a cut can delay delay their meals. You'd have not pay their utility bills, and maybe people won't be able to fill their prescriptions because they need food. So the various states have scrambled around to fill the gaps, but it still is very uncertain. I mean, there's things that people can do, like I said, to go to food banks, but that's not going to be enough, and people need help right now.
What you have to say about the $2,000 check that Trump has offered every American? He says that's thanks to the tariff revenue his administration has, collected.
Well, first, I don't believe it. Number one, because if you can give every American $2,000, which in reality isn't very much, then we wouldn't have to, in the ACA payments, that supplements that are being given to people right now to help them with their medical cost. So Trump lies quite frequently. And I don't believe that he's going to give everybody $2,000 a month or $2,000 in general. And if he does, it's just a pointless gesture that won't actually help anyone.
So what are the implications of the Supreme Court's decision for the ongoing government shutdown? And how might it influence negotiations between the administration and Congress, especially?
Well, the court shows that it's willing to intervene procedurally, but it wants to let the government handle their own problem. I mean, this is a problem that the Republicans set up, and they need to solve it in Congress. What the court did was just a temporary stay, so to let the lower court handle what was originally done. The main problem needs to be solved by Congress.
The Supreme Court's temporary decision reveal about the willingness to intervene in disputes over executive branch power and funding allocation?
Well, it shows that they're willing, but I really believe that the court is trying to preserve the power of Congress with this. So the court can step in narrowly and quickly on emergency procedural grounds, but I think it's really reluctant to substitute judicial choice for Congress on appropriations.
So, but how does the partisan divide over immigration and, border wall funding contribute to the current impasse? And what are the prospects for a bipartisan agreement?
Well, the immediate impasse is driven mainly by the healthcare demands and not just the border. Democrats are insisting, and rightly insisting, that any short-term funding deal must include an extension of the expiring ACA premium tax credits that make the marketplace insurance substantially cheaper for millions of people, and the reversal of proposed Medicaid cuts. And Republicans have resisted tying those health policy changes to the continuing resolution. So the standoff centers on whether to pair government funding with major healthcare changes. And that said, it's a long-standing partisan fight over immigration and wall funding, and it remains a complicating background factor. It also narrows the room for compromise because both sides see big ticket policy items like healthcare for the Democrats and the border wall for Republicans as leverage. But practically, that makes a broad bipartisan package unlikely in the near term, and most plausibly, it probably will narrow the temporary CR that funds the core services. So it's a complicated situation that hopefully Republicans will understand that they need to help the American people.
Now, I'm going to bring in states into this conversation, Fobbs. How are states like New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts, which have already issued full SNAP benefits, likely to respond to the Supreme Court's decision? And what are the potential consequences of this?
Well, like you said, they quickly issued the full SNAP benefits to protect their residents. But now they're being told by Trump to undo those payments. And that literally means taking food off of people's table in the middle of a shutdown. It's a shocking and cruel move that punishes both state governments and struggling families that are trying to do the right thing. These states are likely to fight back. Hopefully, they will have lawsuits and emergency appeals, or they will use their state funds to fill in the gap. But the damage is real. Families who've already spent those benefits now face debt, hunger, and chaos. And so, once again, Donald Trump is using working Americans as pawns in a political game, showing a deep disregard for the human cost of his decisions.
Question mark on the U.S.'s Supreme Court. Plus, does this administration's action represent an overreach of executive power, or is it a legitimate exercise of authority in a time of budgetary uncertainty, such as the U.S. is facing now?
Well, you can call it what you want, overreach or legitimate authority. In reality, uh, Republicans are using their power to hurt the American people. Cutting off food assistance in the middle of a shutdown isn't fiscally responsible. It's cruelty dressed up as government governance. Families are going hungry while the administration hides behind technical arguments about budget rules, and voters see right through it. Whether the courts eventually call it overreach or not, the moral verdict is already clear. The American people won't let them forget who chose to use their power to help them, and hopefully they will punish them at the ballot box.
I asked the question, just a yes or no, just a sentence. Do you think this puts a question mark on the Supreme Court accepting Trump's proposal?
I think it does.
All right, thank you so much, Angela Forbes, for your time. She is a Director, Strategic Initiatives, Democrats Abroad. Appreciate you for joining us on Arise America.